Hello, my name is Mike Husband and I'd like to invite you to the HCG training course that I give to all nurses and people responsible for pregnancy test training in the trusts. HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin, it's a glycoprotein. It's a hormone produced when the egg is fertilised and is implanted into the lining of the uterus. The amount of HCG doubles every 2 to 3 days and it rises very quickly, right up to about 150, give or take 50,000, depending on the female, the body producing the HCG. Okay, so it comes up to quite a high level at the first trimester, then it settles down to about 100,000, just below, give or take a few thousand as well, depending on the female. So the pattern of production is like that, and it continues steadily on that level till the baby's born, after which time it actually drops off quite slowly. And there is there's a policy, one of the trusts that buy these tests, they've written into their policy that they don't test up to 7 weeks after the baby's born. Okay, so because it'll still be positive, but the woman won't be pregnant. And you can use that same argument when you come right to the start here, when there's either an abortion or a miscarriage, where when the lady's no longer pregnant, but she still has HCG present in her system. Okay, but of course instead of lasting weeks, it will just last days. But you have to remember that you could get a positive pregnancy test result, but the person is not actually pregnant. Okay, so the levels go from 0 right up to 150, 200,000. We do two tests. We do a 25 international unit and a 10 international unit test, which measured it. The 25 is the day before the missed period and the 10 is 2 days before the missed period. Okay. Now, in the olden days, you used to measure at 1,000, and that would be positive at about 6 to 7 days after the missed period. At that level, you had 98% certainty of going to full term because it was implanted and producing lots of HCG. Yeah. When you get down to these levels, there's a higher risk of spontaneous abortion. It can be up to 50% of people then don't make it to this end of the graph. The reason that we went from 1,000 to 25s and 10s is because the laboratory would give a result as negative, but the lady could have an over-the-counter test which was positive, because the two different sensitivities varied by several days. So it was decided, instead of getting into all these arguments, that they would use the same test, the 25s or the 10s. Okay. Now, the problem with that, as I said before, you can get a positive, but it may not mean that it'll go to full term. The 10s, for example, would be used for exclusion of pregnancy, right? So where would you want to exclude it? Accident emergency, x-rays, day surgical, all of those other departments as well, okay? So you would use 10s to exclude, 25s more to confirm what the ladies found over the counter tests. But they all come with their shortfalls. The 10 for exclusion of pregnancy, 1 in 1,000 women have levels of 5 international units of HCG per litre. We don't know why, it just is, and it tends to be in older ladies. So there's no answer why they are, but they could be picked up as positive. So you have to remember that the 10 comes with its shortfall, but it's the best test to use for exclusion of pregnancy. Yeah? Right, now we'll run through some tests and then we'll come back and we'll go through the science of what's going on in the assay itself. This is the cassette, and on the back are simple instructions for people to follow. Okay, you open it, the notch, and inside you have a cassette, a pipette and a desiccant. All you do to run the assay is with the pipette, you take 3 drops, holding a pipette vertically. Then you let it run for 3 minutes. With the dipstick, exactly the same packaging with the method on the reverse. Inside here we have the dipstick and some silica gel. The handle is blue. You can put it up to but not past the maximum line here. And you dip it in for 10 seconds. Then you let that run for 3 minutes. Okay, so having completed the assay, this is what's happening inside the cassette. What I'll describe here will be exactly what is happening inside the dipstick as well, where you run along, because the internals of this cassette are exactly the same as the dipstick. So we add 3 drops, and the HCG, if it's present, it will link onto the antibody to HCG, which has colloidal gold attached to it as well. So there's a purple coloration moves along here, which is a colloidal gold coloration, and it will stop here if there's HCG present in the sample. Okay, so the antibody, anti-HCG is sprayed across here on the test line, and it will link on to this complex and lock it into place, so forming a red line. Moving along here, the control line, the C line, is anti-mouse antibody, and as the antibody is made in mouse here, it will just non-specifically connect onto it. So there will always be a control line present if the sample comes all the way through. So a negative is the control line coming up only, a positive is the test line and the control line being present. Now, I've come across a case where the control line is stronger than the test line. So one can ask the question, does that matter? Does it make any difference? The answer is no. As long as the test line, you can see some colour in that line, it's positive. Never ever think that if it's less strong than the control line, it's negative. Because somebody I came across thought that and were giving out the incorrect results prior to the training. Okay, so if I can stress that point again, it doesn't matter what relation is this colour to the control line colour, as long as there's coloration in this test line, it's positive. Now, the question, can the test line be stronger in colour than the control line? Answer yes. If there's lots of HCG present, this line will capture more of the colloidal gold antibody and produce a stronger coloration here, so less can go through the control line, but it makes no difference. So as long as the control line is positive, the test has worked. If there's no control line, it's invalid and you should chuck it away and do another one. And then any colour in this line is positive. Yeah? And the same goes for a strip, which we'll read in a minute. Just going on to the antibody, HCG is an antibody combining alpha and beta subunits, and in the olden days we used to make the antibody against the whole subunits, alpha and beta, but that cross-reacted with TSH, LH and FSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, creating a lot of false positives. But now it's made specifically against the beta subunit, so it's very specific for HCG. So let's go back to see the results.